Hey guys, in this video I will teach you everything there is to know about Gravity forms. We will be creating a simple contact form, a conditional logic form, a pricing form, and I'm going to show you how you can create a post form. We're also going to talk about all the fields in Gravity forms, all the settings in Gravity forms, the notifications, the confirmations. So after this video you will know everything there is about the Gravity forms. Did I mention we're talking about Gravity forms? We're going to start right now. If you want Gravity forms with 20% discount, you can go to wp.discount and press enter. This is my own website with a lot of discounts only related to WordPress. If you now go to Gravity forms over there, you can now click on this button over here. Click on it. Then you need to copy this code. Click on it. Then you press go to offer. Then we are at the Gravity forms official website. In here you can choose 3 licenses, the basic, elite and pro. The difference is basically 1 website, unlimited size, and 3 websites, but also all these add-ons. They have a very big list of add-ons. I'm covering a couple in my tutorials, like signature add-on and the polls and partial entries, coupons. It's really nice to have. So to get the 20% discount, go to your URL and paste in the code we have just copied. Press enter. And here we are. Now we can purchase it with 20% off. Click on this one. And now we have a discount from $12. When you have paid, this is very important. You need to copy this license code. Over here, press copy. And then you go to your downloads over there. When you click on it, you go to the Gravity forms download, press the download button, and then you go back to your WordPress website. If you're still logging in using WP admin,
No! Nope. No!
That's not a very safe way, so please watch my tutorial about WordPress security. On your WordPress website, we go to plugins, add new. And you press upload plugin, select the file we've just downloaded, and press install now. And we press activate plugin and you're good to go. Well done. The first thing we do here is click on register, and then we're going to fill in the license key. Just right click and press paste, and then we press next. Of course, we want background updates to be enabled. Select your currency we're working with. For this example, we're working with the US dollars. You can turn this on or off and then you won't see it in your toolbar menu. Press next. And then you can press on create a form. The first thing we need to know is what is the form title. This is our simple contact form. And for the form description, you can just put a reminder of where this form is at your website for the contact page and press create form. Welcome in the Gravity forms builder. Now, let me talk you through this. What you see over here are the fields on the right side. We have standard fields, advanced fields, post fields, and we have pricing fields over there. We're going to cover all of them in this video. Now, before we start building our form, let me show you and explain to you how this thing works. Let me start with a single line text so I can explain to you how all the field settings work before we move further. Drag it over there. Once you've added, you can see multiple options. You have a move option, which drag and drop to move it all around your form. You can duplicate it. We can go to the settings and we can delete this field. Let's press on settings, but you can also just click on this form. Then you get the field settings over here. Before we start building our form, let me walk you through all these settings on the right side so you know exactly what to expect and what there's possible with Gravity forms. After that, we'll start building the real form. The field label name. You can fill in a description. We would like to know how to call you. And then you can add an input mask. If you want this field to be forced in a kind of way like a US phone numbers or a date or text ID, zip code, and you can even make your own mask. If you want your own mask, you can press the help button and then you will find examples how to create your own mask. This way it will force the visitors to use a certain markup. Very useful. Then you can make a maximum characters. So let's say I only want 20 characters for this field. then that's okay, you can add it in. And then you have the rules to make it mandatory, you just press on required. Now they have to fill it in or else you can't send it out, you get an error message. And you want no duplicates, and that means if another field has exactly the same content, it will not submit but show an error message. For this field, I don't want the duplicates, is not interesting. Then we go further, we have appearance. In appearance, you can have a placeholder. You can also type here name, and then you can see in the field builder what's happening. The placeholder will actually stay there until you click on it. If I save it, I can show you a preview over here. This is the form preview from Gravity Forms. It has no CSS styling, so don't worry. Now this is the field how we create it. You can click on it, and when you type it, you will see that the placeholder will be removed. If you want to go back, go up and close this tab. And here you go back to your form. The placeholder, we're not gonna use it right now. Then you have the field label visibility. Do you want it to be visible on the top or do you want it to be hidden? Now, if you hide it, you cannot see it over there. Then you get a note from Gravity Forms which says hiding it can make it difficult for users to fill out your form. That's true. So, or you use this one, the placeholders, or you use this one. Don't use them both. I don't like that very much. Telling the same information again. So for now, we're going to remove the placeholder. Let's make the field label visible. And description placement is this one. We would like to know how to call you. You can place it below your input or above your input. If you put it on default, use form settings, we can change this later on for all the fields in one go. Very useful. I'm going to show you that later on. And then we have the custom validation message. If they don't fill it in and it is mandatory or required, then you get this error message that we fill in over here. You have forgotten to tell us your name. And then you can add a custom CSS class for this field. We're not going to use this right now, but it's very useful to style up your Gravity Forms. The next option is the field size. Do you want it to be large, small, or medium? Well, in this case, we're going to make it large and we're going to add another field next to it, but you can also drag and drop this column over there so we can create two columns. It's amazing. There are more ways to build this form. If we now go to advanced, we can actually add a admin field label. It's only for you to see on the backend and in the emails. And you can enter a default value. We'll be doing this later on in the advanced form. And we can also enable the autocomplete. If you click this, you can fill the autocomplete attributes with a tag that the browser recognizes and will fill out your form automatically for the user. That is useful if someone has saved his address and his name and his credit card information in his browser, it will fill it out automatically. What do we have to fill in this autocomplete attribute? Hover over the question mark and press Accessibility Documentation over there. If we now scroll down, you can click on Autocomplete over here. In the guidelines, you will find a link to a list of input control purposes. Click on this one. And here we are with all the things we can fill in this field. So for example, the name, just copy it. And then we go back to our WordPress website. And then we can just autocomplete the attribute and we paste in the field name. Just remember that this autocomplete function is relatively new. So you can fill it out and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't, but it's nice to have. And then we have an enable password input. If you click on this one, what you will see is this. Everything we will fill out in this field will be like this, like a password. It is hidden from the user. For this field, we don't need a password input. Then we have the visibility. You can actually change the entire field to be hidden. It will be not shown on the form. Why would you do that? Well, it is useful in our next forms to add in certain things like the current date or other hidden fields. We are going to add it in. And we also have the administrative. If you put it on administrative, you can do nothing with it. It's only useful for watching your entries on the backend. But of course, your name field should be visible in this form. The last option is allow field to be populated dynamically. Here we can add in parameters, so it will be filled in from our browser from another page or another product. Really useful to create the most advanced forms. We're not going to use it in this form And the last option is conditional logic. I will be covering this. We're not going to use this entire thing, not just yet. So we're going to delete it and press OK. So now you have a little bit of basic knowledge of Gravity forms. Let's start out with our simple form. For that, we go to the advanced fields over there. And we're just going to close this one. Drag and drop the name field into the builder. Click on it. Then we go to the field settings. Here you can add name. I would like a colon next to it, so I'm going to type it in. Here you can fill in the description. Well, I suggest we leave this empty because why would you need a description for this field? Now, if you scroll down, you can have the prefix, the middle, and the suffix even for your contact form. In the most simple contact form, we only need a first name. Talking about conversion optimization, if you don't have a CRM system attached to it or an email system where it's actually absolutely necessary to know their first name and last name, I would suggest to remove the last name and only use the first name. The less fields you're using in your form, the bigger the chance people will fill out everything, because it feels like it's less work to do so. Let's keep it on required. Let's go to appearance. Then we have the placeholders. Well, in this form, we're not using them, but you can. The field label should be visible. The description placement, we don't have a description right now. The sublabel, I don't want this sublabel. Just press hidden. Why? Now we only have name. We have one field, which is excellent. Then a custom validation message, of course. You forgot to tell us who you are. And then we go down, we go to advanced. And then we're gonna press enable autocomplete. Scroll down. We don't want a default value because that would look weird. If I'm gonna type in Matt, then it will stay there, so that's weird. And that's it. Now we go back to add fields. The next thing we want to know from our visitors is of course the email address. Click on it and drag it next to the name field. Like that you can create different columns. Very easy. You can actually hold your mouse over this one and then you can drag it to make it smaller or bigger, but just keep it on the center. 50-50 is excellent. Click on the email field and then you can change everything in here. And let's add in a column over there. And then we see a new tick box over here, which says enable email confirmation. If your email address is very, very, very important and you want people to absolutely fill out the right email address, you can tick this box and then you get another field so that they have to fill in their email address twice. In this contact form, I would not suggest to use this because it's another speed bump to fill in the entire form. But you now know it's in there. And of course, this one is required. Then we go to appearance and actually everything is okay. So we're just gonna leave it except the custom validation message. We're gonna fill it in. We would like to know how we can get in touch with you. Then we're going to add another field. So we're gonna press on add fields. Now the next thing we want to know from our customers is maybe a phone number. Drag and drop it over there. And then we go to general, we're gonna add a column over there. And we don't need to fill in a description. And the phone format, you can use it. It's like the mask, or you can put it on international. This way, in international mode, they can fill in anything they want, so that it's not using this format. So when I click on the phone field, this is what you see. And now I can fill it in, but I cannot fill in any more. Every other country than the US, this might be causing a problem. If I put it on international, then when I click on it, you don't see the format and I can add in anything I want as long as I want. We're gonna keep it on international for this form. Now, one question you need to ask, how important is this phone field? Because when you press on required over there, it's a big no-go for forms because most people don't want to give out their phone number right away to you. Except this is a form which says, call me back. Then it's logical. So I would suggest in your form on your website to leave the phone number not required, not mandatory, so people can actually choose to fill it in or just leave it empty. Let's get back to the add fields. So for the last field, we go to standard fields over there. What are we going to add? We're going to add the paragraph text. Drop it in over here. Let's change the field label to your question, column, and then you can fill in a description or characters if you want. I would suggest we do not. but we add in a required field because I want to know this. Then we go to Appearance and we change the custom validation message. You forgot to ask us your question. Please fill it in over here. Now basically this form is completed. Of course you want to have a captcha field, so we're going to drag and drop it over there, and then you need to fill it in and sign it up. I've created a different video about how to stop spamming Gravity forms. It's over there, so you can watch that one and use the systems, use the tools available within Gravity forms to stop your spam. They work excellent, so make sure to check that video out. For now, I'm going to remove it, and then actually all the fields are complete. But if you want to have something more, and it's not inside of these advanced fields, you can just easily add in a single line of text. Drop it over there next to the phone number, and then you can just ask anything you want. Your favorite color. This one is required. So now you know how to create a really simple form. If you want to learn all these different kind of fields and also the advanced fields, keep watching, because in the second form I will explain all these things. Save the form, press on preview. Now this is your simple contact form. Really simple, really easy. Just the fields you want and a submit button. Let's close this one. Now the last thing to change is of course the submit button. Just click on it and you can click over here to change it to, for example, send. If you click on appearance, you can change the submit button width to, for example, fill container. Then it is full width, which is very nice. And if it is on auto, you can choose it on the end or at the end of the last row. This is sometimes useful, not now. Just add in fill container and end of the form and press save it. If you now press preview, this is my form. Excellent. Now let's put this form to work on your website. How do we do that? It's really easy. Up here you have a button called embed. Click on it and you can see all the things you need to know. This is the form ID number 1. Of course, it's our first form. And we can add to existing content. You can just add it to your page if you want it, or your post like this. Let's add it in our Ted Lasso build. And we can press insert form. Now we just have to wait a second. Then you are being redirected to your post. And then in the Gutenberg builder, you can actually see a new block builder which has Gravity forms. Just put it in there. And then you can just drag and drop this thing around anywhere you want. I've created this website with Divi, so I'm not using Gutenberg. If you want to edit this form, just press on this icon, edit form. Then we are back here and you can add it in somewhere else. Now, if you don't use Gutenberg like me, I really don't like it. We're using a shortcode. This is a shortcode, copy and paste it. So press copy, it's been copied. And then we go to our page. So I've created this website with Divi and it's my tutorial about how to make the Apple website. So I want to make the form to go in here. Just click on this row, make it 2 columns, add in a text module or a code module, whatever you want, and just add in the code right there. Just one thing to remember, if you're building bigger forms, make sure to add in here Ajax is true. Like so. Why is this important? Using the Ajax is true, it will actually make sure that the page doesn't need to reload when someone submits the form. It's way more beautiful and you can see the validation message immediately. So now you know how to add the Gravity forms shortcode to any page on your website. Alright, now you have created your simple form. Now I'm going to explain a little bit more about the settings of your form. If you go to settings up here, you can see the form settings, confirmation, notifications, and personal data. We'll be covering this step by step. First, we go to the form settings. Click on it. Then you can see the title, which we just fill in, the description. It is for the contact page. But if you scroll down, you will see even more options. Here you can change the label placement where it has to be in all the fields. Also for the description and the sublabels also. Then we have the validation summary. Let me show you what difference does it make to turn it on or off. In this form, it is turned off. When I press send now, you will see this. There's a problem with your submission. Please review the fields below. And then you get all the fields we've just filled in. If I change this to the summary and I save this, And now you can see there's a summary up here, which you can actually click on it, and then you go to the right field to fill it out. So you could turn this on or off. I would suggest to turn it off because it already gets a little bit of a mess. Then we have the required field indicator. You can use it as a text. I mean this, required. You can change this to a asterisk or just something custom. But let's use a asterisk. Now the required will change to the asterisk, which actually is way more nicer to see the form. And if you now scroll down, you will see the form button. It is from the older versions of Gravity Forms, but you have to change your form button over there. It's no longer necessary. You can change it inside the form editor. Way better. We also have a save and continue. If you enable this, you can change the text over there. Save and continue later. It will add this little button into your fields. Save and continue later. This is very useful if you have long forms with different pages. If you do so, however, make sure the send button is smaller because now it just looks weird. Go to the restrictions, you can add the entry limit. So here you can choose, for example, I only want to have 500 entries of this form. It's useful when running a contest, for example. Then you can change this to 500 total entries or per day, per week, per month, per year. And then you can add a limit which says all prizes has been given out. Sorry. And then we have a schedule form option. If you click this, you can schedule the start of your form, for example, on this date, on this time, and it will end on this day and this time. It's an amazing feature in Gravity Forms. Here you can add a message. The contest is not yet started. And here you can add the expired message. You're too late again. Sorry. Very nice, very clear. This is all clear, I guess. Let's go to this one, require user to be logged in. This one is great when enabling and you have a contact form which is only for example, paying customers or anything like that. Then you have the form options, the anti-spam honeypot. I'm covering this in a video about the spam. It's a very nice feature, keep it on. And then you have animated transition for conditional logic forms, not needed in this form. And then you have the legacy markup. It's useful if you have an old website with the old Gravity forms and you want to use those forms in the new versions, then you can enable the legacy markup, but it will be automatically enabled. Just keep it off. Press save settings and we're all good to go. Then we go to confirmations. You can change what people see when they have completed your form. The default confirmation is just some text, which this is the content. If we click on edit, you can change this to anything you want. This is just a text coming instead of the form. But what I would like to see is a thank you page. And you can just select your page. Well, we only have a home page on this website. And then you can pass your field data via query strings. So you can actually call someone by their front name, like, thank you, Matt, for filling out a form. We will be contacting you very soon. That's amazing. How to do that? Well, you can actually press on this button and then you can add in name first, for example. I will be creating a separate tutorial how to create this because it is a very nice feature to have, but you have to do some building in your pages. You can also press on redirect and then it will be redirected to another URL, maybe on another website or another place away from your own website. The next thing we're talking about is notifications. Very important and a very useful feature of Gravity Forms. Here you can see the standard admin notification. Press edit. The first thing I always change is the notification and then you type in your name so it's very obvious to where this email goes to. Now, as default, this mail is going to the admin email. This could be anyone with admin permissions on your website. So to make sure it's going to the right email box, you just change this to any email address you use daily for your website. And then the from name, I would change this not to a tag, says name. Make sure it comes from something you recognize immediately. Something like form on contact page. And then the email, this one is very important. You have to use the email address that your website uses to send out mails. This is important or else you won't receive any of these notifications on your email and they won't be sent out to your customers. So the from email should be something like info@wpressdoc.com. If you use another from email and you press update notification, you will get a warning message which says using a third-party email may prevent it to be sent out, just like I said. So change this back to your domain name, right? Now when I update it, no warning messages, all is well. The reply to field, you should change this to reply to the sender. Why? There are many times when I just wanted to send a reply to my customer and I just hit that reply button, typed it in and pressed send, to find out hours later that I sent my email to this one. Because the reply field, when it's empty, it will send it to this one. Make sure to click on here and use the email field like this. Now it will actually use the email field to reply to in the notification email. Very useful. Make sure to check that. And then we have a blind carbon copy, so you can send this notification to someone else and you won't see it in the to fields. I've never used this one before, but maybe you can, so you can add it in over there. Go down, you have this subject. Well, if the from name is form on contact page, then the subject would be something like question from, and then you can use the name field, for example. Then the message will be required. When it's all fields, you will just see a standard email from Gravity Forms with a table and inside of there all the fields. Really nice, really neat. To spice it up a little bit, you can add some media, for example, to add in your own logo, like this, for example. And then you can see all the fields, and below that is your logo. Disable auto formatting if you are creating your own HTML emails. If you're not, just leave it off and keep it like this. And then the conditional logic, we will be using this in the next form about conditional logic. Now you can create, of course, as many notifications as you need. Just press this button over here, add new, and you can create another one, for example, for your grandma. The sweetest grandma at grandmanet.com. And again, really think about the from name, the email, and of course the subject of your notification. And of course you should really make a notification for your visitor itself. So press add new for a visitor, and then you need to send it to an email. But this time we're going to select a field over there, and then we're going to select the field from our form, which is just email. From name should be your business name. In my case, the WPress Doctor, and from the admin mail should be the @wpressdoctor.com. Then the subject should be something like, thank you for contacting us. And then your message should be something like, hi. And then you're going to add the name of the person. Just press on this button, the merge text, and press on name and also the name last. Make sure to put a space between them, and then you just hit a comma. And then you're going to type something like, thank you very much for your message. We have received it. We will come back to you soon. Have an awesome day. Kind regards, the WPress Doctor. And of course, you can add your logo in there. Just press add media, drop in a logo, and press insert into post. And then press update notification. And now there's a notification for myself, for my grandma, and of course for the person visiting my website and sending in the form. Now you're all set and done. And the last option is personal data. And then we have this switch, prevent the storage of IP addresses during force submission. If your target audience comes, for example, from Europe, and you have to turn this on if you're not asking them to consent with storing their IP addresses. If you do ask them, or it's in your privacy policy and they have to accept it before they can send out the form, then it is okay and you can just leave it off. Then we have the retention policy, which is useful to make it automated for you to delete customer information. You could press trash entries automatically, and then it will says affect all entries older than a number of days. All right. So let's say I would like to keep everything for 365 days. After 1 year, it will be removed. But then it's only put in the trash, and by law, you should actually delete the entries permanently, automatically from your service after you don't need them anymore for processing. So that should actually mean after 1 year or 2 years, or maybe your business is going really fast, so you only need them to have 1 month. But you can also choose, of course, to just keep it indefinitely. As long as the FBI is not on your doorstep checking your Gravity Forms entries, if what you're doing with your personal data, you should be fine.
FBI, open up!
And then you have the exporting and erasing data option. Then you can use the WordPress tools to export also the forms. Those are over here, tools and export. Standard, this is turned off because you can always go to import export in Gravity Forms itself. So you don't actually need this, but sometimes it can be handy. Alright, well done. Now we have talked about the settings of the form. Let's go to the menu of Gravity Forms itself. On the left you have the forms. When you click on it, this is what we see. Our simple contact form we've just created. We can go to edit it. We can go to the settings. We've talked about these. And you can go to entries. Preview it, duplicate it, or trash it. Preview, we have seen that one. And then we have the entries. You can also find it in here. New form is exactly what it says, or add new, you will start a new form. On entries you will see all the entries put into your Gravity Forms of all the forms you have. There's a drop down over here. When we have created more forms you will see them all in this row. You can also search them, very useful, and you can see them on unread or start or trashed. It works great. One thing I want to show you in here is a very useful feature is this gear icon. If you click on it, you can actually change the columns you will see in here. What you notice is that on the columns, on the active columns, you won't see the date when it has been sent in. So to do that, you go to the entry date, drag it over there and put it on front and press save. Now you will see that the entry date is over here and you can actually use it to sort out all the forms entries. It's very useful, so you always will see when has this form been submitted to me, do I have to respond, etc. And you can change it all in here. Then we go to settings of Gravity Forms. In the settings, of course, you can have the license key for your updates, very important. Then you have a couple of different options. Output default CSS. You have to disable it if you want to create your very own CSS for Gravity Forms. Your logging, if you have troubles, turn it on. Then you have the toolbar menu. It is this one over here. You can turn it off and then this one's just gone away. But I like this one because I can easily go to my forms and go to my entries over there, which works really great and fast. Updates, always keep those on, very important. No conflict mode. If you see that a lot of things are going really strange, you can try this to see how it looks then. And then we have an option to not do it in HTML5. I would not know why you want this, but it's there. So just keep it and press save settings. All right, then we have the reCAPTCHA. I'm talking about this, how you can get it and what kind of key do you need in my other tutorial about stopping spam. Then you have the REST API, very powerful feature, and it allows developers to create different things for Gravity Forms like Salesforce, integrated with Gravity Forms. And then you have, of course, the uninstall, and this uninstall all Gravity Forms. It will uninstall Gravity Forms completely, so everything will be removed very thoroughly, so that's a great option. Let's go to import export over there. This way you can actually export your forms, all of them or just once, and press download, and then you get a JSON file like this, and you can import it on different websites. Sometimes this is useful if you've created like the standard contact form and you want to import it on all your client websites. You can just save it somewhere and then you can just put it in over there and you press import and then the form will be imported. And then you go to forms and now you can see that we have a duplicate. It has just been imported. But just one thing, all the entries will not be imported. So if you want those to be exported, go to import export. And then you need to export entries over there. And then you can select it. And when you have pressed on this one, select everything. Well, most of the time you don't need anything. You don't need the transaction, payment. I don't have this in this form. So I don't want this source URL created by, but I want all these things. Well, we don't need a prefix, middle, and last and suffix because it's not filled in this form. So just only select the fields that you want to export. And maybe you want only a certain date. or maybe in conditional logic. And then you press download export file, and what you will get is a CSV file. And then you will see this. Normally it is all filled out, of course. And then you just press on data, and then you press on text to columns, and then it's been separated by a comma like this. And then you press next and complete it. And now you can see that we have really nice columns over there. And then you can do whatever with this data that you want. The last few options are the add-ons. And these are all the official add-ons over there. You have the certified add-ons. Well, it says download, but you actually have to buy them, because when you click on it, you go to there and you have to buy them. But the official add-ons, these are all created by Gravity Forms, and they are all included in your license. So this is really great. For example, well, what do you need? Google Analytics add-on, mandatory, install it, use it, it's excellent. And then you have the MailChimp add-on, so people can actually fill in their email address and you can sign them up in your newsletters. Really, really great. And of course, all the payment add-on, the partial entries add-on. I've created a tutorial about this one, which is amazing, really underrated, but very interesting to use on your website. And then you have also a reCAPTCHA add-on, which enables you to use reCAPTCHA version 3 instead of the 2. So also very interesting to check this out and add them in to your Gravity Forms. Then we go to system status, the one of the last one. Here you can see if everything is going right. You can send this entire system report. If you have troubles, you can send it actually to the Gravity Forms support team and they can help you out. Updates, and about 2.6 you can read all about every new option available. Then the last one is the help. If you click on it, you can search the documentation to actually see how this thing works. But if you follow this video, you will learn everything you need inside of this way. Well done, you've created your first contact form. Keep watching if you want to learn how conditional logic works inside of Gravity Forms. It's really powerful and it really makes things a lot more fun and easier to use. For the next form, we're going to duplicate this form. How can you do that? Well, if you put your mouse on it, you can duplicate it to create the next form. The ID will change from 1 to 2, but mine is 7 because I've created multiple forms already for this tutorial. And then first thing we're gonna change the name. Go to settings, form settings. I'm gonna call it the conditional logic form to learn conditional logic. We're gonna save it. And then we go and press the edit button. To work with conditional logic, you will need different kind of things. This your favorite color, we will be removing this one. All right. Then we go to add fields. We're going to add a drop down, drag and drop it in here. The drop down, when you click on it, you can add a field label like the question. How many kittens would you like? Then we're going to edit the choices. Click on the add choices. The first choice is just one really sweet kitten. The second choice is 2 really nice kittens. 3 if they don't destroy my couches. And number 4 is of course 4 I am really in need of a companion. Or 4. And then we're gonna add values. So this one is 1 kitten, 2 kittens, 3 kittens, and this one is 4 kittens. And of course, this one is required. Then we press Save Form. Adding in values is not necessary for conditional logic, but now we can also do some math with these values. Then we're going to add the checkboxes over there, like this. So the field label would be, would you also like a cat basket? And then the choices would be, yes, a Ferrari type, only if it's Gucci, with a Iron Man logo on it. And the fourth one is only when it's knitted by the sweet grandma. Alright, then we have the show values. And this is the Ferrari type. And this one costs, for example, 400 euros. The Gucci one is 600. The Iron Man logo is 500. And this one is special and it's $9,000. Then we go to conditional logic over there. Click on it. And we're going to press enable conditional logic. Show this field if all of the following matches, any or all. The difference is if I choose all, then everything I put in here, all these rules, has to be followed or else this field will not be shown. If I just put in any, then this field will be shown if just one of these rules is applicable to my conditional logic. So if how many kittens is one really sweet kitten, then you should show this. So I want this field to be shown when the other field is not empty. Show this field if all of the following matches. How many kittens? It has to be greater than 1. Well, this is excellent, just close it. However, if I now go into this field, you will see that the choices, one really sweet kitten is already 1. So we still have to add 1 in there, and you can drag and drop them like this. And this should be choose how many kittens. And the value should be 0, like this. And then we're gonna close this. And then we go to advanced. And then the default value should be 0, like this. And then we also need, if this is 1, then my conditional logic should be different. So go to the settings of this field, go to conditional logic, show this field if how many kittens is greater than 0. Because if I put in 1, it won't show. Press save form, press preview. And now when I pick on 1, this field would appear to me. Isn't this awesome? But you can go even further. For example, now I want to show this basket on the right side if I select one. How does that work? We go to Add Fields, we go to HTML field, because there's no other field to add in an image. Just drop it in over here, and we're going to change the HTML content by clicking on it. We go to General, and we're going to create a tag HTML image source is, and then you type in the source of your image you want to be shown. So you go to media library, copy in the URL, and then you also add the width is, well, let's say 200 pixels, and I want them all the same, so that's all right. And then we're gonna add a field label, which is the Ferrari. It won't be shown on the front end, but we'll need it. And then we go to conditional logic. Click on enable. And I want this field to be shown if what would you like get basket is Ferrari type. Just like that. And press save form. And then we're going to duplicate this HTML content. And we're going to change this to Gucci. And I'm just going to copy my URL. Place the new URL in over there. And then we're going to duplicate this one. And this one is called the Iron Man. Paste in the URL over there. And then we have, of course, this field. We're going to change this to the grandma. Change the URL over there. And then we don't need to forget to change, of course, the conditional logic. So what do we want to do? This one only shows when it's a Ferrari type. This one shows only when it is a Gucci. And this one only shows when it's a Iron Man logo. And this one only want to show when it is knitted by the Swedish grandma. Press save it, and then we press preview, and here is our form. We want 3 if I don't destroy my couches. The Ferrari, there it is. The Gucci, there it is. And with the Iron Man, there it is, of course. And only when it's knitted by the Swedish grandma, it's also right there. Now, if I have this one, what you see is that these one all becomes under it. But what I actually want is that they appear next to my question. How can we do that? You go to your forms, and then we're just gonna add a single line of text over there, and over there, and over here. What we're gonna do with this one, we're gonna click on it, and we're gonna create it hidden, hidden. When I've hidden them all, when I press save form and I preview it, now when I choose my kittens, and I Gucci, now I have it next to it. Iron Man logo next to it, and also the grandma next to it. But if you only want to make sure they can select only one, then you need, of course, to use a drop down like this. Now, if you know another way to show these images, well, they're centered on the right side, let me know. I'm sure it can be done with CSS, but it's a bit too far for now. Alright, let's go even further with these things. We have the drop down, we have the checkboxes, but you also can use radio buttons. Put in the radio buttons over there. The field label should be, do you want some food with your kitten? Then we can edit our choices. The first choice would be, nope, thanks. The second one is for 1 week. And the second is for 2 weeks. And then we have, of course, a third option, my entire life, please. And we have values that nope, thanks, I'm good should be 0. For 1 week should be 1, 2, and my entire life should be, I don't know, 5. And then we press save form. Then we're gonna close it. And I only want to show this field with conditional logic activated. I only want to show this field if how many kittens would you like is greater than 0. Again, we only can see this one when you actually want a kitten. And I want to preview my form. When I have 1 sweet kitten, I will have the cat basket, like this one, and also with 2, 3, and 4, and when none, I don't see in this form. Actually, really good. Now, when you go to fields, you also have the hidden fields, which actually really nothing inside of it, but you can make use of it to send it to your, for example, Salesforce or CRM system. Then you can enable this like sales, and then it will be sent out to your CRM system, for example. And then we have the sections. Of course, when you drop them down over there, then you can make section breaks. You can remove the field label over there, or you can add one in. For example, cat baskets, like this, and we can just drop them in over here. And you can also use conditional logic on this one to make it only visible if how many kittens would you like is greater than 0. Save it. And then I also want to have another one, a section with food, like this, kitten food. And I would also want to enable this one. How many kittens would you like is greater than 0. Save it. All right. Now let's create conditional logic on the conditional logic. So do you want some food with your kitten? If someone say no, thanks, I'm good, we're gonna add another field. Actually, it's gonna be an HTML field over there, and it's gonna say H2, are you sure? These kittens eat a lot of, and they cannot eat from your table. And I only want this conditional logic to be on, and I only want to be shown this if do you want some food is nope, thanks, I'm good. Save it. And now when you see I want 1 kitten and I want no, are you sure? And when I have another one, it will disappear. Excellent, works like a charm, very well. Actually, that's all there is to know about conditional logic. It's really easy, you just click on it, you activate it, and you just fill in all these rules. You can actually use more rules if you also want the cat basket is not only if it's goosey. So you can create all different kind of rules with this conditional logic. If you don't see the way you actually want to create it, just play around a bit with these conditional logic rules and make sure to test out everything on this side and on this one. And actually, when you play around with it, you will get the hang of it. And now you know how conditional logic actually works. Now keep watching if you want to see me demonstrate all the advanced fields and also make some calculations in this form. For the next form, we duplicate this form. And the first thing we do, of course, is go to form settings. We're going to change the name. And the name of this form is all fields form to learn every single field. And we're going to press on edit over there. All right, here we are again. The first thing we do is, I think it's a bit of a mess turning out. So what are we going to do? We're going to create a page of it. Drag and drop this page over here on the top. Then we have start page and a page break. The page break will actually see that they're starting a new page. So we're going to create, first of all, multiple page breaks. This page break, we're going to drag and drop it and add it in over there. So when people select how many kittens they want, then I want the next page break when we go to the cat basket, and then we'll see all these different kind of things. And then we're going to go to the kitten food. So we're going to go to add fields. You're going to page again and put it in over there. And then we have a page break right there. And then we're going to create multiple pages below that. So we're going to add another page over there. Page break, page break, page break. If I now save my form and I preview it, this is what you see. have the name, your email, your phone, and how many kittens you would like. But you see none of the conditional logic in here because we have created a page with a button next. So, and then we press next. And then we have the cat basket. Would you like one? Yes, Ferrari type, Gucci type, Iron Man logo on it, and only knitted by a sweet grandma. And then we press next. And then we have the kitten food with again the conditional logic. So this works actually pretty good. And when I select this one, I press next. Here I can add another question. And then we can press in the send. Really nice, all these pages. And if you click on start paging, you can actually fine-tune the settings of this field. You can add a progress bar, or you can use steps, or you can use none. If we use steps, we can change the page names like general info. Page 2 would be the baskets. Page 3 would be the food. And the last one would be a question. If I now preview it, this is how it looks. General info, baskets, food, and question. And now we have baskets, general info, and this is how it looks. It will turn into a check mark if you have selected the right one and if you've done it all right, as you can see. And you can also use none, and if I now preview it, this is how it looks. You have just none, but then you have a next step. The problem I have with this is that people won't know how many steps there are, and this really won't help your conversion rate. In the progress bar settings, you can also change the color to, for example, orange, and you can also change the page names over here. And now we have an orange one, and then we have step 1 of 4 general info. And then you can have the baskets over here. It's a bit different layout than the other one. In the progress bar style, you can also create all this. You can use all these kinds of colors, but you can also use a custom color with a text color and background. After that, you can also style it with CSS. However, I'll be creating a new tutorial about how to style your Gravity forms with CSS, so you can learn how to change everything inside of your form and make it beautiful. Well, we've covered all these things. Let's go to the advanced fields in here. And let's add another one, which is the date. So we're gonna press in the date in here. And the question would be, when would you the kittens? Use a date picker or a date field, or you can use a date drop down. The date picker is actually the most useful, but you get a warning if you have a target audience of old people maybe, or people that use screen readers or only keyboards, then it should be not very accessible, so you should use another one. And I would also suggest you use a calendar icon or add in a custom icon, but the calendar icon will do, and it's very logical for people to click on it and then they can use it. The date format should be the date, months, years, whatever you like to have in your country. Just pick one your culture is used to. In my culture, it will be day, months, years. But let's keep it in the USA. Of course, it will be required. You can also use this field, the date, for something like this. And then the question would be your date of birth. And then you should use a date field like this. Very useful field for also this one. All right, let's add another one. Let's add the time, because when would you like to pick it up? But then we also can add what time would suit you, what time would best suit you. And then you can have a time format, 12 hours or maybe 24 hours. Totally depends on your country and your culture. In my country, the 24 hours would be the most logical way, but maybe for you, 12 hours is even better. And this field could be over there, and your date of birth. Well, we can change this to on the top because it is the general information. So we're going to add it in over there. Scroll down again. To make sure people actually fill in the right time, I would suggest to add in a description. You can pick them up between 15 hours. Excellent. And then we're going to change the appearance, and I want the description placement to be above the inputs, right there. All right, this way they can't miss it. Also on the when would you like to pick it up, we're going to add a general description. You can pick them up on every single day. And again, we go to appearance, and then we're going to place it above the inputs. This way it looks excellent. Well, the phone number, we already talked about this, it is over there. And then also the address should be over here, because when you drop it down, people can actually fill in their entire address. If you customize it and you go to general, you can actually change the field label. what is your address column. And then you can use a international address type, United States or Canadian. Why is it? Well, then we have a province, or we have a state, and international. You have a state, province, or region. You can hide the fields that you don't want to show, for example, the address line number 2, and maybe the state or province, and maybe the country you don't want to show because they only can pick them up in the USA, for example. Then you can just fine-tune this whatever you want. And you also have a default country, so here you can just use Cambodia, for example, and then it will be sent out with this form. But if you don't want a default country, just select nothing. If you go to Appearance, you can change the placeholders for all the addresses. That's very nice. If you don't want to show the titles below it, then you can easily type them in here. Alright, let's go back to add fields, and you can also add a website. Just drop it in over there, and you can add a field label like, do you want me to review audit your website? Just go to wpressdoctor.com/audit, and here you can actually fill in this one, and I will be talking about your website in my live streams. Go check it out if you haven't already done so. And then again, we get to add fields, and we can add a email. We already done that. This is this field. And then we can also use a file upload. So just scroll all the way down. We're gonna add a new one, and I'm gonna drag and drop the file upload over there. And well, can you upload a picture of your living room? Because then we have a before and after. And then the allowed file extensions. Well, what would you like people to upload to your website via this form? It should be a JPG, for example, or a JPEG, or maybe you're talking about a iPhone, a Apple image, or a PNG, and maybe I would also like to see some PDFs. It's a really great function to upload things to your website. Enable multiple files upload. You can do that, then they can select multiple files or drop them in there, but one file should do it. And the maximum file size should be definitely no more than, I think 5 MB is a lot, but well, that's okay. And then they can actually upload things to your website. Again, the capture form, I've created a tutorial about this one to stop spam on grafting forms, so check that one out. Then we also have a list option, drop it in over there, and with the list people can actually add in their own list. Sum up characteristics you want the kitten to have. This way they can actually fill in an entire list. I can just fill in just one, like sweet and nice and pearly. I have actually no idea what this means. And kitten-like. They can actually create their own characteristic list. And then we have the multi-select over there, just drop it in, and the multi-select field, they can actually select multiple things. Duh. Choose from the list below of kittens. Let's add in our choices. We have the brownie, we have blondie, we have whitey, and we have goldie to choose from. And again, you have values which you can add in over there. So goldie is 15,000. Then the last one is the consent. Just drag and drop it over there, and the consent is actually I agree to whatever. You can change this to whatever you want. I agree to love the kitten with all my heart for the rest of its beautiful life. And I have to consent it, make it required so that it actually is required to tick that box, or else they cannot send in the form. And these were all the advanced fields we have. So now you know how to create a normal field, a advanced field, and now you know how to use conditional logic. Well done. Let's go even further and go to the pricing fields. Oh, you're ready for some more. We're going to create some pricing fields over there. So all fields form, we're going to duplicate it. And we're going to change this text, of course, to a pricing form to learn the pricing fields. And then we're going to edit the form. All right, we have created a lot of conditional logic, but also we've created some values to it. So we go all the way down, and we're going to use a pricing field over there. You have the product, quantity, option, shipping, and total fields. Let's first use the product field. If I drag and drop it over there, you have a product name, and then you can add a price like kitten brownie, like this. And it could be a single product, a drop down, radio buttons, user defined price, hidden, and just a calculation. Now, if we want to make a drop down, for example, this is the one we are using for this one. Choose the list below of kittens. You can also do it like this. The drop down will be again. And the last one is Goldie, which is actually 15,000. And then we just press save form, close it. And then people can actually select one on the drop down, and it is required. We're going to remove this one, all right? And then we go back to the pricing fields. Then you want to have the quantity. Let's place the quantity next to the product name over there. Press on it. How many would you like? And then the product field mapping is very important, because what field is this referring to? Well, in our case, and we have to change the product name. Choose your kitten. How many would you like would be choose your kitten, and the field type would be a number. The minimum should be 1 and the maximum should be 3. Save form again. And then we're going to add fields, and then we have the option. Well, the option, if you just drop it down, the option field is actually like this. What would you like to more? And then we can use a checkboxes, radio buttons, or drop down. Let's use checkboxes. I'm going to fill in the choices. The first option would be a harness, and this will cost you $30 extra. Second option would be a collar, and this one is only $5. And the third option, a cat rocket scooter, which of course is only $800. And then we're gonna press save it, go back to fields, and then we have the shipping. Of course, shipping costs. Well, you don't ship cats, actually you cannot, but you can add, of course, administrative costs. And it will be a single method, drop down on radio buttons. In our case, it is a single method, and it's gonna cost you $200 that the cat can be picked up. And then the last field is of course the total. So we're gonna drop the total in there, and then it will be total costs for some kitten love. Let us preview the form now. So if I choose brownie, how many would you like? I press 1, you can see the total cost adding up over there. And I can change this to 2, 3 and maximum 3, and you can see the cost moving. Then we can use a harness, a cat collar, and a cat rocket scooter. Total amount of 1,238. But if I want Goldie, that's gonna be a little bit of pricey. And if I want nothing at all, just remove this one, remove all these, then I have 0 cost. And if I only want the harness, I still have to use one of these products, or else it won't work. So the brownie is 1, and there's $200 administrative cost over there. The total amount is 430 euros. And then we can just send it out. You might say, well, there is no pay button over here. I cannot actually pay this form instead of send it. I want to pay it. Well, you can, but remember, well, you can just go to add-ons, and there you can find a Stripe or, for example, a PayPal add-on. I'm not going to show you right now, but in another tutorial we'll be creating and adding this one. And last but not least, we also have post fields. How does these work? Well, for that we're going to create a new form. Post fields, create it. Why would you have post fields on your form? Well, you can let users create posts without giving them access to your WordPress backend or making them a user. Let me show you how this works. Of course, first we create the title, the body, the excerpt, and the tags between them, the category, of course an image, and maybe some custom fields if you would like to do so. Add them in. Now people can actually... Now let's see all the options of these couple of fields. If you click on it, there is a title. Give us your best title for your blog. And then you have the post status, which is very important. Do you want people to have a draft, pending review, or just publish them at once? Well, don't publish it at once, you want to check it before you send it, so it's gonna be a pending review over there. The default post author should be not the WPress doctor, because that's me. You should create a new user over there, add new user, and create some new user called public posts, for example. Then we have this one, this checkbox, use logged in user as author. You can actually use this if you want people to be logged into your website and only show this form to logged in users. You can do that, but I don't want this because the default post author should be someone else. Now, what formats should this post be? Standard, video, audio, quote, gallery of link. Let's keep it on standard. And with this content template, you can actually create some awesome templates around your content. We're not going to use that right now. Then we have the appearance, of course, placeholders. It's all the same as all the other fields. Let's go to the post category. Here you can see just the categories in a drop-down, checkboxes, or radio buttons, or multi-select. You can use whatever you want. Checkboxes is most useful, or maybe a drop-down if you want to have them one category. But when creating posts, you know that you always have multiple categories, so we use checkboxes. On this website, I only have 2 categories, Apple TV Plus and uncategorized. It is because of my tutorial. Then we have the appearance, all the same. Let's go to the image. Of course, it's very self-explanatory. You have the meta tag. It should be the alternate text, so people can actually fill it in themselves for SEO. They can use and add an image into the post. And then we have the post body, and then people can actually fill in everything there. Then the tags, of course, fill in your tags. It's very easy, the excerpt. And then we have a custom field. You can use any standard or advanced field you want as a custom field. It's pretty useful to create this one inside of your form. For example, let's use an email address. All right, let's press save it and let's preview it. This is the title for my blog. Now, what will happen when I add it in on my website? If I embed this form, let's add the shortcode. Well, I only have to change this to 10. I'm gonna save it. Save this page, and then I'm going to press exit visual builder, and now I am at my form. So what will happen? Well, this is my post from the GF form, and I want it to be in the Apple TV. Let's use the image from the grandma. The alternate text is grandma smiling, and the post body is here comes my awesome post body text. Some more text. And you have the post text, grandma smiling. And then we have my email address, and then I can press submit. So what will happen now in the backend? This, well, thank you for contacting us. You still have to change the confirmation, of course. But let's see what happens on the backend. We go to our dashboard, and if we can now go to post, I can see my post from the GF form, authored, well, by me because I was logged in. We have the Apple TV, the tags are over there, and the category. And let me show you, if I press edit now, what will be filled in there. Just the text and the title and the image. I thought I saw an image, but it's not used on a featured image. Let's see our media library. Yeah, here it is. It is double IF grandma smiling. It has been added to my media library, but it has not been added into the post. I forgot to put it on featured image, and then it is actually uploaded as a featured image. That is what we want, but I also want in the post body for people do what you see, what you get, and that would be nice in here, and also adding images and media files to the post body. That would be great. So Gravity Forms, that's one thing you still can add in over there. If you have any questions or you just want to say thank you, Matt, drop them down in the comments and I will always reply. If you want to see more videos, consider subscribe to the channel and also like this video if I helped you out. Hey guys, I wish you an awesome day and I'll see you in the next video.